On the road again with your Pratte Pack, and the handsome man in the room is Josh Kail, State Representative, 15th District. So this is how I roll. It's what I did years ago when I was covering people in Congress. I was covering the courthouse. I was in my early 20s. Even how I got that interview with Ronald Reagan in the back of a Chrysler Cordoba from the air base to that Coriopolis Elks, because I just always said I'm going to go for it. So I'm getting my car washed. And I look over and I see all these people coming in and out of his office. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go in and see if he's there to talk about the budget that I was talking about on the radio last night. And his staff was absolutely incredible. I've been hanging out with them for the last 30 minutes. They even offered me some cookies for the holiday season. But now we get to the main course. Josh Kail is here. Josh, first off, 8 incredible children.
Children.
This is why I like people in politics, because they keep it real. Through the budget and everything, getting back late from Harrisburg. Tell them where you were at today, your daughter's play.
I was at my daughter's Christmas play today, yeah. So Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everyone out there, yeah. She was the lead in it. My son was also in it. It was fantastic. I do a lot of speaking engagements, and I get in front of crowds, and every time you speak in front of people, you get butterflies, you get nervous. But I got to tell you, I was far more nervous watching my daughter be the lead in the play than I've ever been. It's just, it was a special day. She did a fantastic job. 5th grade, her first time being out there on stage with a microphone, and she had 97 lines, and she got them all right, and she did a great job. So maybe something like that, a little performer in the future. So
well, look, it worked out okay for me, and I got to tell you, I loved going to my children's play. Some of the best years of my life. So anyway, let's get down to what happened in Harrisburg last night. And I want to give Governor Shapiro props, and I said this on my radio show the last couple of days. He understands that bipartisan politics works. Got it done. Took a little longer than most of us would have liked. Finally, community colleges and others are going to get some of the money. But let's talk about the process, and as you look at it from afar, what was the thing that finally got it done, do you think?
Well, I think there was a misunderstanding out of the gates. You had a lot of new entities at first. You had a governor who was new, and it was just 6 months in office in June when we really started talking about the budget. You had a House Democrat majority for the first time in 12 years, and I think there was just misguided expectations. In particular with the House Democrats, there was apparently an agreement between the Senate Republicans, who are in the majority, and also the governor, and the House Democrats ended up not agreeing with that agreement, and it ended up going through this process and creating a convoluted situation. But there's always growing pains when you have a new administration. There's always a struggle out of the gates to kind of figure out how negotiations are going to go. And by the way, the leadership in the state Senate, in the Republican state Senate, is also new. You have a new majority leader, a new pro tem. So a lot of new faces, and you're trying to work through that, and they did. And we worked through it, and we got a budget done that, you know, it's one of those classic budgets where no one's really thrilled with it, but it gets the job done. Put $800 million in the rainy day fund, increased the educational improvement tax credit by $150 million, something that I and my caucus were advocating for very strongly. Keep spending under wraps, but provides those critical services. So all in all, got the job done about 6 months late, but we're there anyway.
Well, you're not the only one. It's happening in Washington too. I get it. There's only so much to go around, but we have to start figuring a way to generate money to bring business back to this region. This cracker plant has been an incredible gift. Also, the new 72 steel plant along the Ohio River is going to be a $200 million project. Manufacturing happening. I'm reading about Westmoreland County today, Washington County. Larry Maggi and I are good friends. He's the county commissioner down there. That's when they write the history books as far as the first natural gas well. It'll be said that it was drilled in Washington County. Also been reading today in the Post-Gazette, David Pratte of U.S. Steel talking about possible other offers. They're going to play their hand when it's dealt to them. They're just kind of waiting to see how this thing plays out, and they are weighing their options. But the story in the Post-Gazette talking about most of the offers have been for $40 a share or more, and it closed recently at $39.51. Bottom line is steel is everything to us, as is U.S. Steel. But I believe because of the cracker plant, Josh, that plastic plants will come here, and I believe that's the new steel. It could be the new industrial age. So talk to me about your thought process about natural gas and possible feeder stock plants, and more importantly, manufacturing middle-class jobs, especially for people who have 8 children. It's important.
And that's why I got into politics, quite frankly. And I grew up in the South Hills of Pittsburgh in Beaver County. My grandparents were out here. My mother grew up out here. And I have 6 siblings, and I saw them spread across the entire country. And now we're a generation later, and my kids are just a couple years away from making those types of decisions. And we have a lot of opportunities here. We have natural resources. The plastic you talk about is because of the natural gas that's under us.
Right.
We have access to market. We're close to the Northeast market. We have access to capital. People are willing to invest in it. We have a resilient workforce. We need to get Harrisburg out of the way. If we could do that, then I think we could really see an acceleration of jobs. And really what that means is an acceleration of opportunities for our kids so that they can stay here once they graduate high school or trade school or law school, whatever it is they decide to do, they can stay in Pennsylvania. That's really what it's all about. It's about jobs, families, and growth, keeping people here. We certainly have those opportunities. I will say that one of the frustrating parts that I've seen in the last 5 years is we tend to get in our own way sometimes, and in particular with technical issues like permitting. May not mean much to the general public, but to an investor that's looking to invest billions of dollars, U.S. Steel had a $1.5 billion investment. It was going to be 4 million man hours, 1,000 full-time union jobs at the Pratte plant, the famous Edgar Thomson plant.
It's on hold.
It's on hold, and actually they're developing it now in Arkansas.
Billions.
And the governor of Arkansas publicly said to U.S. Steel at a press conference, you'll be able to get your plant done in Arkansas before you even get your permits completed in Pennsylvania. And there's no reason for that. That's not an ideologically driven issue. It's not a Republican issue, a Democrat issue. It's about good government. It's about excellence in government. Those types of changes can be massive for our future and for my children's future and their generation. So that's what we're working on. And you're right. We could see a lot of opportunity here in Pennsylvania. Some things we need to fix, but overall, we still have that perfect combination of natural resources, access to market, navigable waterways, means of getting capital, and a resilient workforce. We're the best workforce on the planet in Western Pennsylvania. We built the nation's past. I think we're poised to build the nation's future.
Listen, next year, another election year coming up for you. And I've said this going back to the late 70s and early 80s when I was on the political beat. I mean, you spend a year running, then you spend a year to try to get things done. So much to do, so little time. But what do you envision your next major mission or a few missions along the way as you continue down this journey?
It's things like this. It's making Pennsylvania competitive with places like Ohio and West Virginia. And it's just tightening up our permitting process. It's making sure
that frustrates you, doesn't it?
It does. It's making sure our taxes stay low. It's making sure that our kids have opportunities in education as well. And we have some sort of excellence in our government. I've had the opportunity in this position to travel all over this Commonwealth, and you hear a lot of the same types of things, whether it's in Northeast Pennsylvania, in the Scranton area,
right,
or in the Northwest part of the Commonwealth, or here in the Southwest part of the Commonwealth. People are excited about the potential, but they're worried about Harrisburg, getting in the way and thinking it knows best. And so I'm encouraged. A lot of these things that I'm talking about, the governor actually campaigned on a year ago, and hopefully that campaign message means something. And I think the governor sincerely wants to get certain things done. It takes time. Harrisburg takes time, and it takes a lot longer than I think it should, and that most people think it should, but that's the way it does work, unfortunately.
We're going to do one more short one with Josh Kail in just a moment, talking about family, because it is the holidays, and I do that Feast of the Seven Fishes show. I've been doing it for 30 plus years, and if the shoe fits, he's already wanting to talk about it. We're going to do that.
I like to eat.
I know you do. But it's all about family. And show these pictures up here real quick. This is probably one of the most beautiful families I've ever seen. And I've been around some beautiful families. But these crown jewels, these treasures are about the future. I want your children and my children to at least say, there's something worth staying in Beaver and Washington counties for.
That's right.
It really is the whole idea of why we're here, right?
Yeah, and it's the best place, I would argue, on the planet, but certainly in the country, to raise a family. Just the access to Pittsburgh, the schools, the communities, the culture that you have in Beaver, Washington County. But you can't raise a family if there's no jobs there.
That's it.
And you can't have revenue for schools if there's no income coming in. You got to have those family sustaining jobs in the area, and we have the natural resources, thank God, to provide those. We just have to leverage it, get the most out of it, and have more plants like this and other opportunities as well.
All right, one more quick one, and then we're going to be on the road. It's your Pratt Pack for a Friday here in my beloved Beaver County. Stay with us.